Thank you, Rama. Thank you for including me in the launch of this excellent report. And first, I want to commend the report because I think it is very thorough and very accurate and very important. It's important because the world economy is in an extremely unusual but illuminating mode right now. We talk about a global economic crisis, but this is not quite right. The real economic crisis is in the North Atlantic. The high-income countries of Europe and the United States, whereas the developing countries are still achieving, even one could say, remarkable economic growth. Broadly speaking, the world is now divided between the high-income growth of 1 to 2% annual rate and the developing country growth of around 6%, and Asian developing country growth of around 7%. Now, there is a question of whether this quite divergent growth rate can continue, whether this is anomalous and temporary, or whether it's possible for the developing countries to continue rapid growth without the main pole of growth of the world being the high-income North Atlantic economy, which dominated the world economy for so long. My own view is that this rapid growth in the developing countries and in Asia can continue, and that developing Asia, which is a very broad region, of course, including the two giants, China and India, and the rapidly growing countries of Southeast Asia, can continue this economic dynamism. China has been a question mark whether the slowdown that China is experiencing will turn into an end of bubble and hard landing. My view is not that China will continue its growth. This is the view of this report. It's the view of, I think, an increasing number of observers who were somewhat worried, perhaps a few months ago, that there could be a hard landing. I think the prospects are that the rapid growth in this region will continue. Now, that's part of the story of this report. But there is another side, which I think is very valuably described here, and that is that the quality of growth of the Asian economies is not what it should be. It is not what it should be to deliver the maximum benefits of well-being, either in the short term or the long run. In the short term, Asia, like almost all parts of the world right now, because all parts of the world are part of the same globalization process, experiences widening inequalities. And there has been a quite significant increase of income inequality in the fast-growing Asian economies, China included. This is also the case in Europe and the United States, where inequality has widened considerably. And without going into a long discussion, I would say that globalization is a common feature of that process across the world's economies right now. The second aspect of this is that because of the rapid growth in the developing economies for a prolonged period of time, and I think it's fair to say, especially because of China's remarkable success over a period of more than 3 decades now, certainly the most dramatic case of economic development in history, with the only potential rival being Korea. One could debate those two cases, but these are the remarkable success stories of modern economic development. The world is pushing against environmental and resource constraints now in an absolutely unprecedented way. And as the report makes clear, One of the short-term manifestations of this are the very high primary commodities prices, which are high across the board in all commodities classes. Agriculture, minerals, hydrocarbons, fuels, that is, have all experienced significant real price increases during the past decade. My own view is that this is not the result of a financial bubble. This is not simply a short-run phenomenon, but rather is the fact that the world has really become very large relative to, the world economy has become very large relative to the finite geology and resources of our world. Now there's a second aspect to that, of course, which is deeper, less visible, and more dangerous. And that is that while we see the market implications of this high pressure on the planet, the environmental costs of this over time are profound. And that is, of course, why we're here at the GGGI conference, because we have not in any way solved the problem of combining climate change with long-term environmental sustainability. This is a goal, this is an aspiration, this is part of our international legal framework under the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change and the Convention on Biological Diversity, but it is not our reality at all. And Asia's dramatic growth is environmentally unsustainable on the current trajectory. And it is, the world's growth is unsustainable environmentally. And so we do not yet have a global framework that can accommodate this kind of growth for another generation with simply an expansion of what we're doing on current technologies. This will become devastating for the planet unless we're able to shift the quality of growth, the nature of growth technologically, to low carbon energy systems, sustainable agriculture, sustainable cities and urban settlements, far lower pollution rates than are now prevailing throughout much of Asia, and especially in the high growth, high industrial Asian, highly industrialized Asian economies. So the point is, to summarize, a world economy growing at two very different speeds right now. Good news from the point of view of the persistence of the rapid growth in the developing countries, but a lot to correct and improve in terms of the quality of growth. Both the social inclusion, the assurance that all parts of society can benefit from this growth, and also the environmental sustainability. If these are not addressed, then certainly the underpinnings of this growth will weaken seriously over time. In order to continue to achieve these kinds of gains and make them meaningful, growth has to become sustainable development, not simply development of the old style. Thank you very much.